Hi everybody and welcome. I wasn't supposed to make this video, but I had to because I want to share updates on the book, on the Sound of AI community, because it's been fantastic. So in this video, first of all, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, guys. Then I want to talk a little bit more about some details about the book. Finally, I want to give you an idea of the organizational and management stuff that I'll be using throughout the write-up of this book. First of all, let's get started with the core thing, which is thank you very much, guys. I was really blown away with the response that you had to my proposal of starting up the Sound of AI Slack community. So I received so many subscriptions, let's call them subscriptions, for the Slack community. So, and this was amazing. And the part that really blew me away was one of the reasons or the reasons why you guys decided to join this community. Many of you guys have written that you followed my tutorials and video series on deep learning and audio, and you were really affected by those. So you picked up some of you may have picked up deep learning because of that, or other people got interested in AI and music because of that. And yeah, and I think that was amazing. I never thought I could have such an impact. Now on to the feedback itself that you guys gave me, because perhaps some of the guys who are watching right now don't know this, but I've shared the preface of my book with the Slack community, and already today I had a lot of people who commented on the preface, and the comments were fantastic. Some of these things were really good, and I tried to implement some of them already, and I've already posted updates on the Slack channel, so that Slack workspace I should say, so that you guys can keep up to date to where I'm at. Also, I wanted to say a couple of things about comments, which is obviously I can't accept all comments because I need to filter some of these out. And so obviously I'm going to change the stuff that I agree with, and the stuff that I don't agree with, well, I mean, thank you very much for posting that, but I'm not going to change stuff. Moving on to some details about the book, because probably I wasn't fully clear about the scope of the book and necessarily what I want to do with this. But basically the idea is to come up with this book that potentially can be almost a Bible for deep learning for audio, something of reference that people can use to get started and to become experts in the field. So probably now you know this because in the preface I share the book structure and explain what I want to touch upon. Beyond that, the goal of this book write-up and the whole journey is to arrive at the end when I'm gonna have a draft, a very good draft of the book, and try to talk with a few publishers, and then try to have this book published with one of the tech publishing houses. So regarding comments, I wanted to say a thing. So as I said, I was overwhelmed by the quality also of the comments, not just the number. And I think what's fantastic is some ideas that you guys have shared, suggestions, and also in the type of topics that I can cover. That is fantastic. One thing that I would suggest you guys to don't do is to write sections yourselves or things like this, for a couple of reasons. First, I don't want to exploit your work in any way, shape or form. And the second reason is just because of a copyright issue. So I want to avoid that there may be issues with a publishing house when it's time to publish this book. So yeah, thank you very much for all the efforts that you put into this, by the way, because it's just fantastic. One of the most interesting piece of feedback that has come out in the comments is the suggestion to use Python or Jupyter notebooks instead of a normal IDE like PyCharm for all the code examples. So I'm really torn like on this topic because, as you guys know, like I really love like Python. I'm like a software developer like in my core, so I love having like my IDE and all like the features that come with that. But I mean, like if you guys like want like for this like code examples to be like on Jupyter notebooks, I'm gonna do that. And so what I've done is already sharing a poll in the Slack channel, so you guys can go there like and vote and decide like whether you want like PyCharm like IDE or notebooks. So now onto something like higher level, more organizational. So first of all, I want to say that this is the first time that I'm managing like a community. So I'm sure like I'm gonna make like a lot of mistakes like throughout like the process. So if you guys like have any issues like or things like that, please like feel free like to be like as outspoken like as possible. What I want here to build is an amazing community on like AI audio, AI music, because like first of all, like a community like this like is completely missing right now, and then I believe that we can really be like a force for change and like bring up all the stuff about AI audio and music like to the wider community, because like audio is kind of like overlooked in the deep learning like AI wider community, unfortunately. So moving on to something like that's more specific to the book. So there has been a great suggestion by Ashish, who I hope I haven't butchered your name, Ashish. And so he suggested that I post a table of content where I have like all the different headings, like in subheadings, and so you guys like can add like new topics, decide like what you want to learn, and yeah, and just like give your contribution to the overall topics like in the table of content. And I think this is an amazing idea, so I'm definitely going to do that. But so I usually love to work kind of like I would say like a mid-level between top down and bottom up, which basically means that when I write something, yes, I'm gonna have like an outline, but then I also really like to have like the outline coming up like from like the bottom up, really, right? So without having like subheadings necessarily. So what I'm gonna do is post or like share a table of content for each of the different 5 parts of the book as we get like to those parts. But then for each of those parts, I'm going to list like the high level chapters. And while I'm working like on each of the chapters, I'm going to post like the different headings and perhaps subheadings like for those, and so that you guys like can work like on a chapter by chapter basis like while I'm working on those, and so you can suggest new topics, new things that you want me to cover. So with that said, this week I'm going to start from the basics, so from the math that we need to understand in order to be very good like with deep learning. And I'm going to start with linear algebra. So I'm gonna share like the table of content for part number 1, so listing all the chapters, and then list a few topics for the chapter on linear algebra. So finally, one thing that I wanted to say is that so obviously like this book is going to be like quite a lot of work, and so I need to find a balance between writing the book, then like pushing the channel forward, because obviously I'm going to be like very committed to the book, but I want to keep pushing like with videos and things like that, and something that's kind of like different to what we'll be doing like with the book. So probably after I finish the video series on AI audio application deployments, I'll probably move to something like generative music on a symbolic side, because I feel that's obviously where I come from, and I haven't covered like any of that yet. So I feel you guys should like definitely like learn a little bit like more of that. And so obviously if you know about that, that's great, and then it's going to be like a great like refresher. But in any case, I think like that is going to be like a really cool series of videos that I'll be making. So this was it like for this like update video. So again, thank you so much like for all of your like support, effort. It's really amazing. And I think like we are like on a journey that's going to be like fantastic, and hopefully in the process we'll be building like this amazing community. So stay tuned, and I hope I'll talk to you like in the Slack channel, or I'll see you like in the next video. Ciao.